In this video, we're going to be taking a look at all of the options available to us in Naviate Accelerate's Help menu. So here in Naviate Accelerate, we're going to go all the way over to the right-hand portion of the ribbon where we have our About drop-down, and you'll notice that where your account information is, we have a drop-down there as well. We're going to start by taking a look at the options available to us in the About drop-down. So if we hit the About drop-down, we're going to get a flyout with a bunch of different features here. We're going to start by taking a look at the About option. The About is going to give us a window, and it's going to give us the information about the currently installed version of Naviate. In this instance, I'm looking at Naviate Accelerate 25.1.0.0. And it's also going to give us a list of all the system files that are installed with this version of Naviate Accelerate. So that is what we get in the About window. Next, we're going to take a look at the What's New dialog. So I'm going to come back over to About. We'll go to What's New this time. And that's going to give us this window that shows us a couple of different things. We can see Naviate Accelerate is currently active, and it's showing us what's new with the latest version of Naviate Accelerate. It's giving us the latest versioning, what the publish date was of that version, any improvements to the features, bug fixes, and everything associated with that issuing of Naviate Accelerate. I also have Naviate Architecture installed, so if I click over into that window, I'll see the same thing here, improvements to the features, bug fixes that were associated with that release. Now, by default, this window is going to launch when you launch Revit. We have a checkbox down here to toggle that on or off with the Show This Welcome Screen at Startup toggle box if we wish. That way, if you don't want to see this when Revit launches every time, you can turn that off. So that's an option available to you as well. Lastly, we have this All News box here, which will actually launch a web browser and take us to the Naviate website, and it'll take us to the Insights page with any news associated with any of our products. So if I go ahead and click that, again, it's going to take us out into a web browser to the naviate.com/insights page. And here you can see a whole bunch of the latest news coming from Symetri and Naviate as a whole. So that is the What's New in Naviate portion of the About drop-down in the Help portion of the ribbon. Next, we're going to take a look at the Help F1 feature. So with Help F1, it's going to launch this web browser inside of Revit. And if you have access to Pinnacle, you will be able to get to all of the user guides to the different Naviate products within Pinnacle. So here we can see the different products that we have startup guides for. By default, since I access this from Accelerate, it's going to bring me directly to the Accelerate. And I can click the Documents portion, and I can expand and see all of the different help documents available to us. Again, so long as you have access to a Pinnacle license, this will be available to you as well. Next, we're going to move on to the support little mail icon here. This is going to launch a window where we can quickly send an email to Naviate support team right from within the Revit window, so I don't have to go out to Outlook or a web browser or whatever I may typically use to send an email. It'll automatically launch a window here to send an email to support directly. We have the option to attach a file as well if we wish, so we can quickly get to email support from within the help dialog as well. Next, we have option for live support, which I'm not currently configured to have live support, and depending on what your licensing offers, you may or may not have support to live support as well. But if your company has purchased a license that does offer that option, that is accessible through the About drop-down here in Help as well. We have the Symetri e-learning is the next item on the list here in the About drop-down. Again, so long as you have a Pinnacle license, you will have access to all of the Pinnacle content relating to all Naviate products. So if we click the Pinnacle e-learning drop-down, it's going to open this this web browser, like we saw a couple steps back, and it'll give us access to all of the learning content for all of the Naviate products, whether it be anything Naviate for Revit, if you're a Naviate for Civil 3D user, whatever product from Naviate you happen to be using, you'll have access to, again, so long as you have a Pinnacle license right here within the e-learning portal. Moving on, we have this option here for Configure Naviate, which when we launch allows us to switch the program standard. So by default, I installed this. I'm working in the US. By default, it's pulling the US defaults. But if you're working in any of these other countries, you can switch to those defaults as well. And then we have this option for Show Hidden Slab Edge. It just kind of controls how slab edges are shown in your project. I defer to Revit on that one, so I leave all on. So that is the Configure Navigate function. If you make any changes to it, it's going to prompt you to restart Revit for the changes to be installed. Just going to hit OK on that, and we'll go back up to the About drop down one more time. And here we have Check for Updates, which is just going to scan your system and compare to what's available online to see if there are any updates available. I have the latest installed, so I don't have any updates available to me, but if there were, I would be alerted to that and then probably go grab them, download, and install them. So I'm running the latest version of my Naviate products. So last but not least, under the About drop down here in the Help menu, we have access to our Ideation Portal. All subscribers to our Naviate products have access to the Naviate Ideate Portal, which is a great place to go to submit new ideas for feature improvements or new features you'd like to see added to the Naviate portfolio. It's also a good place to see what ideas might already be kind of floating out there in the ether. Good place to go review other folks' ideas, vote for some ideas if you think the ideas are of benefit. The more ideas we get in here, the more votes they get, the more likely they are to at least be reviewed and see if they're feasible and potentially implemented in future releases of Naviate. So that is the Ideate portal. So those are all of the items we have available to us in the Help About dropdown. The last two things we're going to take a look at here are the dropdowns associated with your username and your account. So we have two options here. We have access to the license portal and we have Naviate logout. So if you need to log out from Naviate for some reason, we would do that right here in this dropdown. The license portal, if we click that, again, it's going to open up a web browser and take us to our license portal where we can go and manage our Naviate licenses. So that is all of the items we have available to us within the Naviate Help menu from Naviate Accelerate.